Hi guys, Konstantin here. So today we're gonna talk about a GPU that in my opinion wasn't mentioned enough because it was released in a very bad time. But again, I believe this GPU wasn't given enough credit, and I just wanted to mention it because I think it's one of those silent heroes, so to speak, where it's got great capabilities. I would call it outstanding even, but it just missed I don't know, it just missed its popularity. So the reason why I brought it up is I've been following it, and the reason why I'm doing this video is I've been following the price of this GPU for quite a while on eBay, and it's been dropping and dropping, and it dropped below a margin which I pretty much was comfortable enough to purchase and use myself. The GPU's name, in case you're wondering, is GeForce, well, it's NVIDIA RTX A2000. It should be visible right now. It's in the corner here, RTX A2000. So it's a GPU which is workstation GPU. So it's from the workstation or professional class from NVIDIA. And it's really well built. And I'm going to talk about its features, and I'm going to put these features somewhere on the screen for you guys to read about because they're quite impressive. The two most impressive things about this one is, one, its size. So it's a very small GPU because it's built for mostly workstation and servers, and it's built so you can like literally put more of these GPUs in one machine so you can run them. And the things that are very impressive about it are, first of all, it's the fact that it draws only 80 watts to run. It does not have a power connector. So this is the first thing that would surprise me. The second thing are its capabilities. So it's the fact that this is pretty much a GeForce 3060 die in here, which is seriously undervolted, so it doesn't require as much power to run, but it does perform really well. Now there's plenty of reviews about this GPU because obviously a lot of people have looked into it, and I'm gonna post some of them in my description because I've used some of them for my inspiration, and a lot of people have said and have reviewed it and said that it can game pretty much. But personally, I wouldn't recommend it for gaming because for the same price that you can buy it right now, which is somewhere around £200 to £300 used on eBay. I think it's about £600 new, but yeah. So for the price you can buy it right now, you can purchase gaming GPUs which are better suited for the task. This is not suited for gaming because it has one blower style fan. It will overheat, it will make a lot of noise, and it's inefficient. But what's very useful for its professional use, which is production such as media content, CAD design, and everything in between, engineering. So if you need a GPU that doesn't use a lot of power and you're like designing I don't know, 2D, 3D architectural designs or whatever, electric pipes, gas pipes, anything like that, you'd pretty much want this in your PC or something like this. If you're not doing extremely complicated tasks such as, I don't know, loading extremely large files, because among its performance specs, which I've hopefully posted and I'm going to talk to you about offline, one of the things this GPU has, it's 6 GB of memory, so its RAM memory is not quite impressive. But where it excels, in my opinion, and I'm going to test it, and that's where I'm going to test it, is graphics encoding. So I'm going to use it as a GPU encoder to encode some of my videos, and I'm also going to use it in my Plex server for movies, because this is where I believe this GPU shines, this card shines, because it has an NVENC encoder with all the specs and bells and whistles for the GeForce Ampere series, and so it's got a full fat NVIDIA encoder in here, and it's got it in this size. Now, in terms of drawbacks, I would say the fact that I would quickly say is the fact that the display ports are mini. You do get adapters, so you get an adapter like this from mini DisplayPort to regular DisplayPort, which pretty much solves the issue. But obviously it's an inconvenience because you're getting an extra adapter for your computer where you already have a lot of cables in the back. And the second inconvenience, I've heard that it can get pretty loud under load because of this blower style fan, which is probably not the greatest. It can get pretty loud. Now because it's gonna be put in my server, it shouldn't annoy me too much, but if it does get too loud, well, such is life. I probably won't keep it for too long, but I do believe it's worth talking about because it is one interesting piece of engineering. AMD, which also has a professional series of cards, W series, which they've just recently released, W7900, which is based on their RDNA free architecture, which is the first chiplet architecture. But anyways, the corresponding series to this one, to the A2000 series, is the W6000 series from AMD, which I currently have a W6600, which is somewhere around Radeon R 6500, 6600 series. Anyways, those cards still require a power connector. Although it's a 4-pin one, they still require external power. Now this one does it. It does everything in 75 watts because that's the power of the PCI Express slot. 75 watts, guys. So it doesn't draw a lot of power, which means you can keep it in a multimedia computer or a server type computer. And it's excellent for video encoding, which is great. Now, I don't know in terms of durability. Oh, and one more thing, I'm still researching it. I haven't found it yet, but I believe it has ECC memory, which is really nice. ECC memory is normally used on professional workstations, servers, and stuff like that because it has error correction. So it's less of a chance for your application, let's say you're encoding a large video, it's less of a chance for your application to crash and shut down because of memory issues with this card, because apparently the memory is ECC. Now I don't know if it's for this model or other models for the RTX Professional series, which I'm gonna look into. I haven't seen it in other reviews, but again, I'll have a quick look through it. The other thing is the RTX A2000 series can be found in two versions: the 6 gig version, which is the one that I have because I don't need a lot of video memory, and the 12 gig version, which is bigger video memory in case you are really look to do a bit more content and you really need to for those larger projects that you need to work with and stuff like that. I don't know how good it is in VR and stuff like that for VR workloads, but I imagine it's quite decent. Now in terms of gaming, it's 15 to 20% under the GeForce 3060 so that's 3060, which again, I don't recommend you guys buying this one for games, not even if you get it for free. If you get it for free, I recommend it. Get it, flip it on whatever you can flip it, add a bit of money on top and buy a gaming card, because this is not suited for gaming. You're gonna destroy it anyways because you're gonna overheat it too much. So yeah, that's it pretty much in terms of unboxing. Well, it didn't come in its original box, it just came like this. Again, the design is quite nice, sleek black design. It comes with two frames, it comes with one of these brackets, a small bracket and a large bracket. Now I didn't need the small bracket, the large bracket is enough for me. And it is a two slot card. So these are well, I don't know how to show it to you, but probably this one is best. Yeah, it is a 2-slot card. Again, you can use it as a secondary GPU if you plan to encode stuff. I don't know what the benefits are of using it. For example, if you have a streaming PC and a gaming PC in all in one, so you can use the main GPU for gaming and you can use this video encoder from this GPU for streaming or recording. It might benefit you, it might not, it depends. But anyways, you can use it as a secondary GPU if you're running multiple processors in a more multimedia computer and stuff like that, just so you can have a powerful encoder here which you have access to with 6 gig of memory and a really good CPU. Now ampere generation was a very good one from Nvidia, although it has been surclassed by the current Ada Lovelace, which is a lot stronger, but still ampere generation is a good generation of cards. So again, you can get this one for £200 to £300 currently on eBay, and if you're looking for replacement for your multimedia PC or Plex server or anything like that, I definitely recommend it. If you're working AutoCAD or trying to build up a rig for yourself to work with different CAD or other media programs like DaVinci Resolve and stuff like that, again, I recommend it because this doesn't use a lot of power and is quite efficient from what I've heard. Now I'm going to test it a little bit. I'm going to put some benchmark results in the video as well, and I might do some gaming one, but as I said, I wouldn't recommend it for gaming. And that's it, guys. Hopefully you'll enjoy this. So NVIDIA RTX A2000, really nice. And really small as well, like really small. Right, cheers. Right, guys, so just like I promised you, we're gonna do a in detail analysis of the RTX A2000. I'm just gonna go through the spec sheet. The spec sheet is from the official NVIDIA site, nvidia.com. So this data is pretty much sound. Right, so going through it, this is for the exact model that I currently have. So as I said, it's got the Ampere architecture, and specifications for the GPUs are as follows. So you got your 16 gig of DDR6. The memory interface is 192-bit. Now that's really good because in most GPUs in its class have 128-bit. So this one has wider memory channel, so it means there's more data it can go to the GPU and back. This is better for video encoding and stuff, right? And apparently I was right. It has ECC memory, which is I don't have it at on the W6600 from AMD because I think this one is a bit more expensive, but this does have a major impact on your workloads. As I said, it reduces the possibility of your system crashing due to video related errors when you're working with your professional apps. This does make a massive difference. Right, in terms of CUDA cores, it has 3328. I believe it's somewhere around GA106, the number of cores as well, if I don't remember properly. 104 tensor cores and 26 RT cores. So again, with the RTX A2000, you get access to DLSS technology and tensor cores, which might be best suited for AI works. Again, because of the GPU's limited capability, you won't be able to do massive AI computing, just probably tiny little bits of training AIs. 8 teraflops of single precision performance, 15.6 teraflops of RT core performance, and 64 teraflops of tensor core performance. That is not bad. Again, GeForce 3060 territory. It's PCI Express 4.0 times 16. Yeah, I would expect that. That's the standard at which the Ampere architecture was released, and the current Ada Lovelace architecture is released as well. Total board power 70 watts. That's amazing. That is because it only uses PCIe power. It does not use its own power connector. Now be aware, if you already have quite a few cards on your server, adding another 70 watts of power which you're gonna draw from your motherboard might you need to check your computer before doing that, just to make sure. Normally it should be rated, but just to make sure, some motherboards come with additional PCI Express connectors, just so you can provide more power to the peripherals. Yeah, so I would suggest check up on your motherboard before connecting this GPU, in case you have any other peripherals, like any other GPUs in there as well. Active thermal solution, it has one blower style fan. Now I was thinking about doing a noise test, but there is no need. The model that I got, I don't know, it might have been a newer model or not, but it is relatively quiet at idle or close to idle working conditions. Right, moving forward, it is a dual slot. As I said, it's a dual slot card. It has 4 mini display ports, which is not great because that's not something you commonly use. Fortunately, you get 1 or 2 adapters from mini DisplayPort to DisplayPort included in your purchase if you buy it like new. If you buy it second hand, just be sure to ask for those things or search for one that already has them available. Simultaneous resolutions, that's fine by me, right? Encode decode engines, it does 1 encode 1 decode, which is pretty good. That means in the same time you can encode a video and decode a video as well, such as like you can watch something from where the GPU needs to decode, like from a video from YouTube and whatnot, and you can encode like using OBS and stuff. This is quite good. This is the norm actually. I believe the newer ones has 2 engines. So the newer model, the Ada Lovelace models has 2 engines. It can do a lot more streams in the same time. I think the AMD one can do about 4 of them in the same time. So the newer generation is a lot stronger. But as I said, for something with minimum requirements, this is not bad. And I've just discovered this. Looks like it has something that it was never mentioned in the any other reviews I've seen. It has AV1 decode, guys. Now AV1 is the next format that's gonna come and hit pretty much all the streaming services, and all the streaming services are testing it right now and they have it available. They just haven't released it. So AV1 is a data format that allows streaming content companies to stream data at lower bitrate for the same quality. So imagine having same bitrate, let's say 3000 kilobits per second or 2000, but improved quality, a lot better quality. I did see AV1 streams and I did do some AV1 streams. The quality is impressive. Now the fact that this card gets AV1 decode capabilities, that means you're a bit future proof. And so in terms of watching AV1 videos, AV1 encoded videos in the future, which is pretty much coming, I believe in 1 year max, you will see Twitch doing AV1, Netflix doing AV1, so on and so forth. In terms of AV1 decoding, you are okay, you are future proof with this one because you have it. You won't be able to do AV1 encoding with it. It's probably gonna have to use CPU for it, but you know what, you're halfway there. It's 50% there. Now the first hardware AV1 encoding and decoding is currently the current generations from NVIDIA and AMD, and also Intel Arc series. So Intel Arc GPUs can do have AV1 hardware encoding. That is really useful, and you can purchase Arc A350 or 750, A750 I believe, for like 200 something pounds, brand new. It's not much of a GPU, but if you need hardware AV1 encoding and decoding, that if you just need that feature and that feature alone, I would go for one of those GPUs. Now be aware that Intel GPUs, although they're really good and they pack a lot of features for their money, they're not widely supported yet in terms of software and drivers and such. So if you want to go down that route, just be mindful and check that your software does support the Intel encoder and decoder available in Intel Arc GPUs. Right, so moving forward, it has VR capabilities, DirectX 12 and all this bit, which is great. CUDA cores, direct compute, OpenCL. So again, yeah, you got 328 CUDA cores, which is good, which is amazing, because there's a lot of software applications out there that use CUDA cores for processing sound, for processing a lot of things. Even I can add with the improvements that NVIDIA has done to their drivers and DLSS, you now have videos, what's it called, NVIDIA video resolution sampling or something like that. It's the technology that it's on what's it called? It's on Steve Burke's channel, Gamers Nexus. He's done a video about NVIDIA Super Resolution for YouTube videos. So he uses pretty much DLSS technology from, I might be wrong, but I'll correct myself. So he uses NVIDIA technology to upsample video resolutions on YouTube. So which means if you're watching something at 720p, your GPU will upsample it using AI at 1080p, for example, and which is a major improvement if you've got, like, if you're constrained by your video, your network connection and stuff like that. If you don't have a fast network connection, you can watch videos at a higher resolution that you're currently streaming them at, which is a great improvement. And I believe Steve has had a go at it on Gamers Nexus, and yeah, the results are there. It is working. It's not just publicity and marketing. And the other thing is, I've just read it the other days, it's been on the news for a while, VLC supports this super resolution upscaling. So again, VLC videos can be upscaled to a higher resolution just by using your NV technology. I don't know if it's the tensor cores, I don't know if it's the RT cores or the DLSS, which uses the RT cores, I believe. So it uses one of these technologies to do the resolution upsampling, which sounds like DLSS to me, to do the resolution upsampling, and you get actually better resolution when you're watching videos with using VLC, which is a popular video player. So you get all these benefits again just by buying an NVIDIA card, which as I've said, you can find it between 200 to 250 pounds used on eBay at the moment. Right, some of the features that we haven't discussed is HDCP 2.2 support. It has some sort of, you can use RTX experience with it. So the drivers that you're going to install for this card are not the game ready drivers, the ones that you normally install for an NVIDIA gaming card. They're the Quadro series drivers type, but don't worry about the type, just install NVIDIA experience, RTX experience, and it will automatically find the best suitable driver for the GPU and install it. And also when a driver update gets released, you'll be notified and you'll be able to quickly install it as well. I use it all the time, and all I can say is NVIDIA is quite snappy on driver updates, and their drivers are really up to date. Right, Avion decode support, that was a new one for me. That's really good. Right, in terms of more specs that I found on their website and that I think that worth mentioning, as I said, up to 12 gig of GPU memory. Now mine has 6 gig. You can find the version with 12 gig, which is a bit more expensive. Low profile, I did see the card in the video. It is really low profile. Second generation RT cores, this could be useful. You don't get too many of them, but for minimum tasks, they're just good. PCI Express, third generation tensor cores, yep, we've been there, we've gone through all of this stuff. Dual slot, yeah, blower style fan, error correction memory, again error correction memory, that is really good. Now normally workstations do have RDIMMs, which are RAM memory that's error corrected. So if you combine RAM memory with error correction with GPU memory with error correction, you get a very stable machine that you can rely on for computing tasks. One more thing I wanted to go through is the actual NVDEX, so hardware accelerated video encoding and decoding capabilities of this card, because this is where I think it fits best in my personal opinion. So this is the list of, this is from the NVIDIA technical sheets from the website. This is a list of the whole formats that it can hardware decode and encode. So you got AV1, which you've discussed it, MPEG, VP8, VC1, H.264 and H.265 lossless. You got 8, 10 and 12 bits. Color profiles, resolutions up to 8K. Encoding again, H.264, H.265. These are the most popular formats out there. H.265 is really taking off. It's the difference between H.264 and H.265 is H.265 allows encoding for the same quality but lower bitrate. So your files will take up less space if you're using H.265. Just be aware, not everybody knows how to read a H.265 encoding, as in not all the software players, video players can do H.265. Most of them can do it now, but there are some that I've met that they couldn't do it. Lossless, that's alright, all the cards can do lossless, because that means no encoding and no decoding. Right, so it can do 8 and 10 bits. These are the color formats and that's the resolution. So the decoder is actually a different separate chip on the card itself as well, which means you can use your graphics card chip for workloads, and you can encode and decode video in the same time. It's not gonna conflict each other. Probably they're gonna both use different amounts of memory within your available memory, but you can do that in the same time, which that's the purpose of a hardware encoder decoder. Again, support for AV1, which is really good. There's another thing that I'm gonna put a link to this. I'm gonna put this actual link in my description so you guys can go through it. But there's one thing which I wanted to show you that's written in their technical sheets, and which pretty much says that the NVENC encoder will actually do all the tasks hardware on a different chip than the GPU die itself, allowing you to use the computer for just like I said previously, allowing you to use the computer, CPU and GPU resources on different tasks, and just offload all that work to this specialized NVENC encoder, which I think this is great. It gives an example here. Pretty much you can stream on OBS and your NVENC encoder will do the video encoding. You can stream it to your channel, and you can game without affecting the GPU's capabilities, which I think is great. There's a lot of other stuff in here which you can read through. Now, in terms of pricing, I did find this GPU still in stores. You can find it in stores, but as I said, it goes for £570. I don't know if this is the cheapest or the most expensive one. It's just the first one that I found while googling it. So it currently goes for £560. I did tell you you can find it half price because it's been out there for quite a bit now. I think it's a good I don't know, 2-3 years since it's been out. So you can find it used. Just be aware, there's something I didn't mention. There's something that I didn't mention yet in the video, and some of you might know it already. The reason why this card was hard to get a hold of on release was the fact that it was being purchased by miners in pallets from the manufacturers themselves, because it's so efficient in terms of power consumption versus hash rate. I think it reached up to 40 mega hashes or something like that. So 40 mega hashes is a lot. That's how much you get on a 2080 or 2080 Ti from memory. So because it did 40 mega hashes and 80 watts or even less than that, because you can undervolt it even more, these cards were very efficient, which means you can recuperate your investment quickly if you're a miner. So they used to be bought from miners, by miners in pallets. I saw a lot of videos on YouTube about miners setting up whole warehouses of mining rigs just using these GPUs alone. I was looking to buy one during the GPU shortage because that's when it was released, and you couldn't find it. It was over 600 something pounds second hand, and there were miners selling it after the mining crash somewhere around 500 pounds even. I did remember trying to buy one, and the seller, which had like 4 or 5 of them for sale, obviously he was a miner but he didn't admit to it, wouldn't sell it under 500 pounds. I don't think he ever floated the stack, but now, as I said, you can buy them from under 300 brand, well, pretty good condition, under 300. If you pay over 300 for it, I would expect it to be in like really as new condition, like minimal usage, or if you need it for your business and you can claim that expense later, or you're making your money with it, why not buying brand new? You get warranty and stuff. So that's it, guys, for the technical specs on this GPU. Up next, we're gonna do some practical tests. Cheers. Right guys, so for our first test, we're using Handbrake to encode a 56 gig file from 1080p to 4K using the H.264 NVENC encoder. As you can see, average FPS here is 273.5. Time to encoding is 43 minutes, and we've just starting encoding it. That's the job itself, the task that the GPU has now to do. Now if we go on the right hand side, I've got GPU Z running. You can see the GPU clock 1450, 1460, memory clock 1450, temperature 44, which is not bad, with a hotspot of 50, RPM 3000 on the fan. Right, video engine load 100%. That's what I'm expecting to see because I am using the video engine at 100%. Power draw 30 watts, guys. So I'm drawing a total of 30 watts to encode a 56 gig file to 4K, and this watts is gonna be for, let's say, up to 40 minutes. So 40 watts hour. That's not too bad. Power consumption 43% of TDP. Yeah, makes sense. CPU temperature, that's okay. Yeah. Right, so as you can see here, what I want to show you is on the left hand side, the CPU usage is 43%. Now bear that one in mind, because we're gonna test the other card that I have, which is compatible to this one, and that's the Radeon W6600. We're gonna test the same, we're gonna encode the same video using the same format, H.264, with that one, and we're gonna just notice the differences. So right, let me just have a quick look here again. All right, okay, so again, so about 42 minutes, about 45 minutes, let's say, an average of 270 FPS, power consumption of 30 watts, and CPU usage of up to 60%. It is a Threadripper CPU, so that's why the times might be shorter on my end. In case if you're doing it, it might take you a bit longer, but that's just a side effect. Right guys, so here we go. Now we're encoding the same file using H.264 AMD video encoding, the video encoder on the Radeon W6600 card. So let's go through the details. Average frame rate 295 versus 280, which we had on the previous. That's 10 FPS more. Time remaining 40 minutes. So it's similar, it's compatible. So same file, 56 gig, 4K encoding, AMD encoder. It does seem like it's moving a bit quicker than the Nvidia one, but bear in mind the W6600 does draw power from the PSU as well, so it does have a 4-pin or 6-pin, I remember, power connector, so it does use more power. Let's see, I can't see it from here because it says chipset power 18 watts. It might be that it's not measuring it properly, but it should draw a bit more power anyways. Now, which is the weird thing is, this card, the W6600, is not clocking the GPU clock much. It is clocking the memory clock though. Average temperature 45, so just like the previous one. Right, what I did wanted to show you is CPU usage 60%. The CPU usage pretty much similar to the Nvidia card. So what I can say is, compared to W6600, encoding speed on this one is slightly faster. So it looks like the AMD encoder for H.264 might be a bit faster, but in terms of time is very comparable. So this is the curve compressor test that I'm doing. So it's quite good, to be honest. Again, as I said, the AMD card has 2 extra gig of memory, and obviously RDNA 2 generation compared to Nvidia Ampere generation. But yeah, it looks like on H.264 the encoders are quite similar. That's something interesting. That's something I've never seen on other YouTube videos before. I quite enjoyed this test. CPU usage similar. Yep, too bad I can't see too much information about the card itself. Unfortunately, the AMD cards, they don't have so many sensors as the Nvidia one. Right, okay, moving on to the next test. Right guys, so just to give you a feel, this is the NVENC encoder on a GeForce 4090, same file, 4K encoding using H264 NVENC. So this is the encoder that NVIDIA puts on the 4090 at the moment. It looks like the frame rate and so it looks like the encoding is very comparable. So the frame rate is slightly higher, the time is pretty much the same. So as you can see, for H264 encoding, a GeForce 4090 will do it in pretty much the same time as a GeForce as a RTX A2000 card. So what I'm saying is, if you need a GPU to do these kind of tasks, you can very well do them with this card as well. Obviously you can't compare these two in other terms, but in terms of video encoding, it looks like it's very, very comparable. Again, 56 gig file, 1080p to 4K encoding, H264 encoder. Yeah, it looks like it doesn't matter how fast your GPU is, this encoder pretty much behaves the same. Again, this is very useful information. I don't know if you needed this, or if you knew this already or didn't, but yeah, I thought it might be useful for me just to pop it up here a bit. Okay guys, so this is the next test I wanted to do just on the A2000 card. So on the A2000 card, I just wanted to show you guys the GPU usage when doing when watching a video on a Plex server that needs to be transcoded. So what happens is, let's say you've got a 4K video which is pretty much high bitrate. Let's say mine, the one that I'm doing right now, is 50 megabits. So watching a 4K video, 50 megabits bitrate, and I wanted it transcoded to 1080p 20 megabits. So to go from 1080p 20 megabits to 4K 50 megabits per second, just because I wanted it transcoded like that, looks like it's using pretty much 80-90% of the video engine on the RTX A2000, and the video that I'm watching right now is seamless, as in there's no buffering, there's no stuttering, there was no loading times. I pretty much did not have any issues whatsoever going from a 4K 50 megabits per second to a 1080p 20 megabits per second on my Plex server. As you can see, the Plex transcoder is using 20% CPU, and pretty much the whole of the graphics of the encoding engine on my A2000 GPU. So this is one main reason for which I believe that this GPU can be very well used in a Plex server. In terms of GPU benchmark ADA64, this is the data for the RTX A2000. Now there's not much you can do with it, but it looks like it can play games. It can play games. You really shouldn't, but if you want to, with 8 teraflops, and look at what it can do here, it's somewhere around I would say Xbox, not the latest Xbox, the one before the latest Xbox, so it's the Xbox X. So it's the Xbox Pro, sort of like kind of territory graphics power, but again, it's not as fast, it's not as properly cooled, and I wouldn't use this GPU for gaming, guys. But if you want to do some light gaming, I would recommend, you can do 2D stuff if you've got, like, if you're enjoying like some older games, or some 2D games, and light 3D games if you like. I don't know if you're literally that's what you can run, or you're waiting on something to load, to compile, to something like that. You can play some light games in the background, but yeah, I wouldn't use this GPU as a dedicated gaming GPU. I would literally use it for what it's meant for, which is, as I said, CAD design, video encoding and decoding operations. Again, this is the entry-level GPU from the RTX series. You've got higher A4000, A6000. Those are the more professional ones. This is just like a little workhorse that would do lighter tasks. Right. Anyways, that's it. Thank you for watching.